Hi, welcome to my little grow room. I was really lucky. This was a little porch when I bought my house 30 years ago. It was a little porch, and I persuaded my contractor, because the house needed a lot of work, to just lower it down 3 or 4 feet so I could get a little A-frame. And at first we just put a piece of fiberglass there, and about 8 or 9 years ago I replaced it with polycarbonate. Underneath this floor there's there's a patio under there, so you know it's insulated, but it does get really cool. But I've discovered it's a really good place for orchids because it has little microclimates. The house levels off, so this bench over here stays in the mid 50s or 60s most nights, while underneath, I don't know if you can see, but in the nose cone of this little sunroom, it gets really cool. I have one of those little radiant heaters here that is on a timer, so it's keeping it from going much below 50 down there. But at times, without that, I've had frost form in the front of it. But so down below, I grow a lot of my dendrobiums that are resting, a lot of my masdevallias and other pleurophthalids that like cool temperatures, cymbidiums, and some other choice things. While up here I can grow things that like it a little warmer. So, and then if things like it hot, I just hang them from the roof up here, and or I have a little grid here so I can hang a lot of the bark-based plants. So every year I've worked out little different systems of where to put a lot of plants, still be able to work on them and give them enough room that they're not super crowded.
In general, what kinds of orchids go where in terms of the light and the temperature?
Well, I've found, even though they always say about things on half shade and stuff, I've found in general this greenhouse faces southeast, so I only get like 4 or 5 hours of sun every morning. So I've supplemented with this this giant swirly bulb, which is a compact fluorescent, high intensity compact fluorescent, and I also have some tubes over here. So, but I've found like things like my paths, my lady slippers, they're getting a lot of sun now, but in general I think they bloom better if they get more sun, as long as you gradually get them in there. So over here I have my Phalaenopsis. I don't know if you can see this, but so it's a little more protected from the cool coming from the polycarbonate. So, and I just have some artificial light, and so they get a little warmer here and don't need quite as much light. But here I put my general plants. You can see this is a Lelea anceps that's blooming. These plants really easy to grow, but they take a long time to bloom. The flower stalk comes up, and the flower bud is there for months and months and months. But I have my phals, I have dendrobiums here, I have some angraecums. In general, I like a real mixed collection. I like to try to grow everything.
Now, how do you maintain your humidity?
Well, basically, 2 ways to do it. One is the mass of plants. When you have so many plants, just they maintain their own humidity. I'm trying to look up here. We can see what the humidity here is. Well, up here it says I haven't watered today, but here they say 45%. But I'm sure it's higher. Down here, it's more like 55%. And when I water, it can go up to 70 and 80%. And what I have is I have these eggshells. In this whole bench is set up like this, and you can see it over here though. These eggshells that I got from Home Depot for fluorescent lights, and they're just over some hard plastic bins, so that when I water the plants, the water can go right through them, and it just stays in there and it evaporates naturally, and helps raise the humidity that way. And once in a while, especially for some of the ones that are on bark or cork, I'll spray too in between waterings.
And the plants that are on bark, how often do they get watered? Probably
every 3rd day. And most of them, I water them by just dipping them in a bucket of water. So I just take them and throw them in and soak them in. I just have a catch pot here with water in it. I'll just soak it in there for a few minutes, or a minute or two, and then hang them back up. So for those, they do like to be watered, you know, a couple times a week, or sprayed in between them. Most of the other plants I water once a week, and it makes it easy. So every Saturday or Sunday, if it's a sunny day, I'll be in here for a couple hours.
How often do you fertilize?
It depends on the time of the year. Like now I'm not fertilizing quite as much, but already I see basically spring growth happening in a lot of plants, so I'm going to step it up a little. I tried, you know, listening to Richard and Bob, you know, talk about different fertilizing regimes. I tried basically to fertilize 3 out of 4 weeks, you know, and with a mix. I use maybe a bloom boosting fertilizer, maybe a seaweed based 1 week, a plain general balanced fertilizer, and then the 4th week I always don't use anything, so I let the salts get out of the plant that way. You know, one thing that is that it enables me to successfully bloom many different types of orchids is that I put almost all of them outside in the summer. You know, as soon as the weather settles, I will, you know, I'll put them out. I built a small little lathe house that you know, shades them, because you got to be really careful of giving them too much sun too quickly. But I put them outside, and that way they're easier to water and fertilizer and fertilize, and that way they get enough sun so that when they come in, they, you know, even with diminished light here, they'll mostly bloom for me. So that's a key, I think, putting your plants outside.